Homegrown Radio.
Well, it's a very warm greeting to you and yours. There is Homegrown Radio, Africa's gift to its tribe. And right about now, coming through your speakers has to definitely be 100% fresh talent. We're broadcasting live from Homegrown Farm in Centurion. It is 012, and we are back again with another dose of positivity, the power of positivity rather. And today we are syncing it with nothing but the importance of mental health. I am Thembz. I almost forgot to introduce myself, but I do not roll solo. I am with TKJ.
TKJ.
Yes.
Ha, dope name ever.
Wow, how are you doing?
I'm super amazing. How are you, madam?
Sure, I am super good because today we are speaking about something that is very important for us to just tackle and unpack. The power of mental health. The importance rather of mental health. Yeah, it's a very big one.
Yeah, because
especially because we are going through the most with the pandemic.
Yeah.
We need to keep positive in our mental health and make sure that we're thinking all things positivity, because negativity will not do us any good.
I've just learned, Guti, a lot of things when they come to our lives, they start to strike our minds before they go to our hearts.
Yes.
So a lot of people, they think that heart is the generator of our human system.
Yeah.
But no.
The mind is
the generator.
Yes.
So if you wanna maintain yourself in a good or in a vibe that is positive, protect your mind.
Sure. You know, I feel like I'm just out here standing right next to a preacher because hey, you're getting too deep with this.
It's very important. It's so momentous for us as human beings to protect our mind. Because mind can see what you cannot see.
Yes.
Because mind can reach where you cannot reach.
Yeah, boss.
So it is very important for us to protect it.
Preach.
Protect it.
Yes.
I cannot go deeper for now.
Sure, TKJ is in fire, and if you are in fire where you are sitting, please make sure that you let us know across all our WhatsApp number. It's 0615802531. Otherwise, on our socials, it's Homegrown Radio on Facebook, homegrown.radio on Insta, and radio_homegrown on Twitter.
What I can tell people out there is that right now, it's all about positive thinking. No matter how dark it seems or how bad it seems, the only way you can stay afloat and not drown in everything that is happening around us right now is to remain positive. Find people that, you know what, when they open their mouths, they talk positive things. Because we're living in a time whereby we are going through so much at the moment. The only way to go, it's up, and that is positive thinking.
Well, I would always say that people need to also do self-assessment. A good self-assessment is always a good thing. People need to be careful what they consume, meaning what they read, what they listen to, and that helps with your brain. And what you feed your brain all the time with what you read is also very important. So be careful what you read and focus on the positive side of things and know that you are here for a purpose. That's what I'd say to people who are suffering with mental issues.
Mental health is the most dangerous in other health issues that we face in our lives, you know. And esikhathini esiningi akunakiwa kakhulu ukuthi umuntu mhlawumbe unenkinga. Like for example, if you have depression, you know, you don't pay much attention to it than when a person is sick, maybe with cancer or mhlawumbe TB. But yet it's also important to pay attention to mental health, whether it's be it you going for a checkup or taking your medication or even getting going for a proper help regarding your mental state to probably a mental institution, you know?
speak, Lord. Speak to me. Oh, speak, Lord. Speak to me. Oh, speak, Lord. Speak to me. Speak to 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 Oh, speak, Lord. Speak to me. Oh, speak, Lord. Speak to me.
Homegrown Radio.
I'm speaking about mental health and mental illness. So that means I'll be talking about a subject that you all know is taboo and something that society doesn't really like mentioning. And while I'm not afraid of people's judgment anymore because of what I have been through, I am afraid of the consequences that come out of that judgment. I'm afraid of being isolated. I am terrified of feeling like something's my fault when it wasn't. And I'm also afraid of being ousted for going through something that's completely normal. It's so normal that 1 in 4 adults actually suffer from some sort of mental illness. So I want you to take that in. Count yourself, the person to the left, the person to the right of you, and the person behind or in front of you. That's 4. One of you is suffering from mental illness, but we're all high-functioning adults. People don't know that. But take me, for example. I got into UT. As a freshman, I was very excited. You know, hook 'em horns. I've had school pride since I was 12. Mostly because the boy I had a crush on wore a lot of Longhorn gear, but that's besides the point. I got into UT, and my first semester included fighting with my parents because they didn't want me to leave home, getting cut off financially, taking out loans, having my dad get diagnosed with leukemia, the same type of leukemia that took his father before him, by the way. So that wasn't a fun talk to have. It also included getting phone calls from my siblings saying, you know, it's not your fault that our dad has cancer, but oh my goodness, if you had have just stayed home, he would be healing so much faster. If you would have stayed home, my relationship with my father wouldn't have gone south because they supported my decision to come to UT. UT's a great school. But that meant them fighting and disagreeing with my father, which if any of you have grown up in any sort of Dominican household, you know that what father says is like the law. And so I was getting a lot of blame put onto me, and it was a lot of other people's baggage. But I carried it with me because I believed them. So that's the end of my freshman year, and I was pretty isolated. That summer, I stayed with my parents, and I got a job, and I think 2, maybe 3 events happened that caused a total shutdown of my brain because it wanted to defend itself. And that was 1, the resurfacing of a high school classmate who assaulted me my senior year came back up. Second one was finding out that a loved one was suicidal, and I didn't really know how to digest that information. And the third one was that I was feeling so lonely because I was isolated my freshman year that I decided to do Sorority Rush because nothing says I'm not lonely like buying 200 sisters. However, things didn't really go quite as planned. I ended up not getting into the sorority I wanted. I wasn't going to pay thousands of dollars to be in the one I didn't want to be in. Long story short, I ended up alone again, and I just shut off. I grew numb. I started lashing out at people I cared about, blaming them. I had one friend at this university that was the young man that I was dating at that time. I blamed everything on him. And it was a really toxic situation to just really be around me. And, I could go through all of the boring part of depression where you basically want to sleep all day, not shower, not eat, not do anything really. And I'll just skip forward to the part where I was nearly hospitalized. And that was pretty hard because, I was almost hospitalized. But what ended up happening was, through talking to my therapist, she was telling me, okay, well, we have a couple options because we want you to change what you've been doing. I got to do this thing called an intensive outpatient program, which is basically group therapy 4 times a week for an hour and a half each time. So it was definitely intensive. But group therapy is actually what I attribute most of my healing to. And the reason was because I walked into this IOP expecting a lot of individuals to be sort of clouded, put off, and basically to look like this. Thank you, I drew it myself. And instead, I was actually greeted with a group of maybe 10 to 15 people who were all high-functioning adults, by the way. There was one young lady, she was a computer science major. She had like a 3.9, I think, because I ended up talking to her. She was so passionate about her career. There's another young lady who was in a spirit group, who was basically a non-Greek sorority. There was a young man who talked too much. There was a UT football player. And there was me, a pageant queen, who's pre-med and does science. And so I looked around this room, and everyone was so normal. We'd have breaks because an hour and a half is way too long to sit in one room. And we all joked. We all had the same TV show, like the same TV shows. We all had homework. A lot of us were, again, high-functioning adults. We paid the bills. But we all still suffered from mental illness. That's why we were there. And I didn't see people with a big sweatshirt that just kind of hid to themselves saying, like, I'm sad, don't look at me. But instead, saw very normal people, and I was highly surprised. So I say I was a pageant queen, right? And here's my Miss America crown. Pretty, sparkles. And the thing is that no one knew that I was suffering. The same way how anyone would look around that room and say, I would have never thought any of these people are suffering from mental illness, is the same way you would have looked at me. Because the night before I won this, before I won scholarships that I could help pay for school, was the day before, or no, I'm sorry, it was the day after, just one day after, my dad decided to announce to the entire Applebee's restaurants in a very drunk fashion that he has leukemia. I was devastated. But I competed and I won, and I'm so thankful. But that also meant I got to go compete at Miss Texas that summer. It also means that I volunteered a lot and that I continued to stay in school and did the whole 9 yards, and nobody knew I was suffering from depression. Nobody knew that the entire year that I was experiencing was basically turbulent, and I was going through turmoil up until the point that I didn't quite want to die, but I definitely didn't want to live anymore. Until IOP. And so I always ask myself, or I thought about it for quite some time, what was it about group that made me heal? And it was the fact that maybe it was, we were all Longhorns. We're all cool people, right? No. Oh, no. It was the fact that we met 4 times a week for an hour and a half each time. That wasn't it either. It was actually just the very simple idea that 10 to 15 people could sit in a room and talk about very human experiences and not be judged. Because the bottom line is, I'm sure I could go to any single one of you and say, have you ever experienced grief? Have you ever lost a loved one? Or have you ever felt lonely? And you're going to answer yes to probably all three of those. And if not, at least one of them. And so that's where mental health has an issue today, because depression, at least, is one of the most well-documented diseases that we've had over the past few, millennia. But we don't like talking about it because it's sad. Any sort of mental illness creates this great breeding ground and great foundation for more to fester, which is why they come in package deals. That's why you get depression and anxiety, or maybe anxiety and bipolar disorder, or maybe ADHD and ADD. Or maybe, you go through some sort of traumatic experience, you get PTSD and depression. These, 2-for-1 deals, great. You know what else comes with? A free side of shame and guilt. And so when you're already hearing these voices in your head in a near constant loop of, it's your fault. You're suffering because it's your fault. You can do better. You should be happy. And you have someone else tell you, well, have you tried being more positive? Like, no, you know what? I didn't think about that, actually. Thanks for bringing that up. Have you tried going outside? Oh, I've just been confined to my bed all day. I didn't realize that I didn't have the energy to, go take care of my basic hygienic needs. I didn't realize I could go outside. I'm sorry. Instead of trying to tell someone, have you tried these things, I'll give you a few tools to help someone and maybe help yourself. And that's to be openly honest. One of the biggest reasons I ended up healing was because I opened up to a TA. I was kind of emotionally unstable that day. And I ended up telling her, I'm going through a really, really hard time. And she said, I've gone through a really hard time before. In fact, I'm going through it right now. But every day I find a little something to push through, and it sucks, but I keep going. And then I have students like you who want to have a real relationship with me, and it keeps me going. And I said, wow, the only thing I heard really was, I'm also going through a rough time, and it made me feel a little less alone. I had another TA who was very funny, that when I ended up telling him, I almost withdrew from the university, he said, I'm a graduate student, I know what that feels like. Because we all go through turmoil, we all go through some sort of time in our life where we're going to feel alone. And isolation is one of the precursors to mental illness. Mental illness is a very, very human response because we all have different stories, but we also have gone through millions and billions of years to all react the same way. And so we all can relate. And so I want you all to be openly honest with someone. I also want you to quit lying. Y'all are so good at lying. You tell someone, I'm going to be there for you, but actually follow up. And do the second part. Be openly honest and say, I will be there for you because I know what it's like to lose a loved one. I know the grief it's going to hit you. It hurts. And sometimes they say time heals, but it's been, 3 years since, my best friend passed away, and I still hurt. But I will be there for you because I know what that feels like. That would mean so much more to me. And it would make me remember that someone has gone through this and someone has hurt and I'm not alone. We go to a school, a great school, that has over 50,000 students. If my statistic is right, there might be over 15,000 students here who suffer from mental illness. And we want to sit here and pretend like we shouldn't talk about it because talking about mental illness is weird. Those people are crazy. Let me tell you, the 1 in 4 that have a mental illness versus the 3 in 4. The 3 in 4 are the crazy ones. They're the ones telling me what it's like from my experience. I want you all to know that we can have a very human conversation about a very human experience, and it won't be hard. Just be human. Open your heart. Because, you know, if it's not your friend, it could be you.
This topic, it's very important to me because I have learned, especially now, during this time, it's been a year and what? I don't know, and a half?
Yeah, year
within
and
the pandemic.
It's
so
it
has taught me to just channel my mind on things that are good for my soul, things that I'm very grateful for, which is, it does not have to be powerful quotes sometimes. You know, the power of just waking up in the morning, the power of just seeing your mom walk past you in the morning,
those moments,
happy and everything, the power of just seeing your friends. That is the importance of mental health, because when you see the people that you are most loving of living next to you, then you know, okay, cool, what's there to stress about? Because these people are alive. I am blessed to have them in my life still today, because hey, we are going through the most and people are dying.
Yeah. So like what you've just said is you are telling us that you basically are leading us to that we have to appreciate moments in our lives.
Yes.
You still have to appreciate your mom who is still there, your brothers, like everything that we have right now. Just appreciate, just to protect your mind. And another example that can help others is that let us stop hanging out with naysayers, people who will always tell you that you're ugly.
Yeah.
Because if someone is okay to movie, that thing goes to your mind.
Yeah.
And in fact, before you sleep, or maybe you're about to sleep, let this feel like it's gonna hit your brain or your mental health.
Yeah.
No, I'm ugly.
You know, I have this friend of mine who would randomly just text me and be like, Thembz, you know, I want to remove pimples on my face. I'll be like, no, do not, because those are your beauty marks, honey.
Sure.
Yeah. So you need to start helping people embrace their flaws.
Yes.
And make them seem flawless. Remind them that, okay, whatever you say is not right with you, which is a feature or something God-given. That is your beauty mark, because it is on you, it's not on anyone else, and that's what makes you stand out as a human being.
Definitely.
And that's what makes you special. Yeah.
That mind can reach where we cannot reach, and mind can see where we cannot see.
Sure.
That is basic.
Yeah. That is us right at Homegrown, Thembz alongside TKJ, giving you nothing but the importance of mental health synced with the power of positivity.
Mental health includes emotions, psychology, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices in life. Mental health is also important at every stage of life, from childhood, adolescence stage, and through adulthood. So mental health is very important.
Ingqondo into engenza ukuthi ngiqabange, yabo, kuze njengamanje example njengamanje kuze ngiphendule ngenzeni ngisebenzise ingqondo yami kuze nginike lama-answer owafunayo, you understand? So like ingqondo yinto ekwenza ukuthi ufunction, you understand? Like ikuphethele yonke lento oyidingayo. Angeke ukuthi udinga something bese uzitshele ngenhliziyo, hayi. Kumele ucalculate ngengqondo kuqala before uzoyenza lento leyo. Uyangithola? So ingqondo yinto like nje empilweni yakho nje yiye functionayo kuphela nje yiye calculate zonke izinto ozifunayo.
Oh, negative mindset. That is a killer. You know, it's actually a pill that you take inwardly, and literally it's destroying your mental state, your system, because one, you become toxic. Two, you become very favorable to those who actually are afraid of telling you the truth. So to me, negative people comes with arrogance. It comes with being aggressive as well, because they're subtle between the two of them. And being negative as well, it comes with a poor mindset of being lazy, of neglecting what you like most, of being jealous of other people who are succeeding, of being tired in your life because you're not motivated, because you have failed, because you're not going forward, because you are unable to tap into the things that you really like and ask yourself and say, if I'm doing this activity and it's not working, or if I'm in this field and it's not working, what else can I do before giving up? How much can you put in to really try and prove to yourself that you've given it all? So before you quit, before you give up, don't be negative, don't be toxic, and don't influence others through your mindset. So it's very important to ask yourself those questions, do some checklists, and then from there, you need to downsize some of them and implement the one that works, that will help you to stop being negative. So always do some kind of self-check from time to time, and don't wait until the 31st of December for you to do some self-introspection on knowing what is it that didn't work. Do this periodically on a monthly basis. Get into the habit of journaling, because that is your true reflection of what's happening into your life.